Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Lim Nakran, taking a look at some of the top stories that we're following right now. A 7-year-old boy is really just lucky to be alive after a very close call involving a tree crashing onto a family's home. Let me show you some footage just of the scene that our crews were able to gather. And this tree crashed through the home overnight, sent debris everywhere, as you can see, including on top of that child's bed. Atlanta News First Don Shipman is with the First Alert Breaking News Tracker in Southwest Atlanta with more on this story.
The father didn't even know where his son was because he was underneath all of that debris that fell right on top of his bed while he was sleeping. And take a look how big this tree is. You can see it's landed right there across the house. And from what I can tell from this vantage point, the base of that tree is a good several feet behind the house up against the tree line. So that gives you a sense of just how big this tree is. And then take a look inside at the damage, the ceiling caving in, pieces of the drywall right there on top of the bunk beds. This home is located along Harris Manor Drive here in Southwest Atlanta. When the tree fell onto the house, its branches badly damaging the roof, so much so that the branches from the tree ripped through the roof, through the attic, and then into that young boy's bedroom. His father tells us that his 7-year-old son, Xander, was asleep when all of this happened. And when he finally figured out what was going on, he discovered Xander underneath all of that debris.
I didn't know what was going on. I thought the dogs or somebody was wrestling outside or something until the whole house started shaking. And then I opened my bathroom door and literally from here all the way across, the whole roof had caved in.
It's been several hours since this happened, and the branches, that tree, still on top of the house, and it doesn't appear that they've been able to tarp the house either. And it's been raining this morning, so there's going to be some water damage as well to the home. The good news in all of this, no one was injured. Also, they have renter's insurance. We're in Southwest Atlanta. Don Shipman, Atlanta News First.
And thanks so much to Don for that report. Okay, let's talk about another story that we're following today, and that is really about the teacher shortage. So, summer's winding down, of course, school starting as early as a week from now for a lot of districts, depending on where you live. Some districts are still scrambling to fill vacant teacher positions right now. Atlanta News First reporter Rebecca Schramm is in Clayton County, and that district is feeling the pinch a lot more than others.
We have learned more than 200 teacher-related positions are still unfilled here in Clayton County. This shortage of teachers isn't just a problem here, it's a problem across the state and across the country. DeKalb County is feeling it too. They've got more than 100 teaching-related openings. We've done extensive reporting on why teachers are leaving the profession. A lot of it has to do with low pay that's not keeping up with inflation. Teachers often have to take on side jobs to make ends meet. Public school teachers are getting a $2,500 raise this year thanks to the state's new budget that went into effect July 1st. Here in Clayton County, we stopped in on a job fair yesterday, and one of our colleagues was talking to the human resources director for the school district, and he saw they were hiring teachers and paraprofessionals on the spot.
We are looking for elementary, middle, and high school. And as you can hear in the background, that's yet another great hire.
Excellent. So the cowbell is an indication that...
Yes, that's part of our Clayton experience. We love to bring them in with the energy that we want them to have throughout the entire year.
School starts August 1st here in Clayton County. That is 1 week from today. Of course, as we've seen in past years, school districts will continue hiring even after the first day of school if they have to. In Jonesboro, Rebecca Schramm, Atlanta News First.
And thanks so much to Rebecca for that report. Okay, you know what? President Joe Biden has said that it was time to pass the torch to a new generation. During his speech from the Oval Office, it was just last night, he also called on voters to pick Vice President Kamala Harris in November, who he has endorsed and described as experienced, tough, and capable.
History is in your hands. The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands. We just have to keep faith, keep the faith, and remember who we are. We're the United States of America.
And Harris is the presumptive Democratic nominee. She already appears, I should say, to have the delegates to get the nomination at the Democratic National Convention next month, where Atlanta News First political reporter Doug Reardon will be in Chicago. He's going to be reporting live from there. But, young voters could really decide this presidential election. Once again, Atlanta News First reporter Rachel Aragon has a closer look.
What are we? Fired up and ready to go!
Many Georgia Democrats are fired up for the new likely Democratic nominee, Kamala Harris.
Young people are very excited. We've got a new candidate that is younger with a new breath of fresh air, but is also extraordinarily experienced.
Young voters made a difference in 2020, helping push Joe Biden over the edge in key battleground states like Georgia.
I think it will be very clear, who aligns with the values of young people.
Parker Short, president of the Georgia Young Democrats, says he's hopeful young voters will now come through for Harris in November.
The energy is palpable. You can feel it in this rally today. You can see it on social media.
There are a lot of people that don't necessarily participate in social media, but still keep up with what's going on.
Winslow Jones, president of Atlanta Young Republicans, says there's initial excitement for Kamala Harris among some young voters, but she believes there's plenty of Gen Z and millennials who plan to support the Republican ticket. She says one of the biggest issues young voters will weigh when picking a president is who is best fit to oversee the economy.
And that directly impacts young people, especially those that are out of high school, out of college, trying to find jobs, trying to invest in their future.
From now until November, those across the political spectrum are working to make sure the next generation of Georgians make their way to the polls.
The truth is that young voters are able to make that difference.
That's how you can make your voice be heard, is by casting your vote on Election Day.
Rachel Aragon, Atlanta News First.
All right, let's talk about the forecast now. Here's First Alert meteorologist Rodney Harris. My mom is so happy about this rain because she just planted a bunch of grass.
Oh, well, she's going to be in great shape, Joy, because we've had some pretty good rain here over the past several days. What you are seeing on your screen right now, that is First Alert radar as we speak. So it's actually fairly wet outdoors this morning. Some scattered showers, no storms, but showers out there for sure. And they are impacting a good chunk of the region from the mountains all the way down into metro Atlanta. Hello, everybody. Hope you're off to a good start to your Thursday. So here's the story today. We will continue to see another day of scattered rain out there in metro Atlanta and North Georgia. The coverage will be lower today compared to what we've seen over the past several days. So we've dropped the First Alert weather day, but there still will be some scattered showers out there. So let's walk you through that high resolution forecast model, shall we? And this is what we're talking about. So again, this afternoon and evening, just like yesterday, we will see rain sort of streaming in from the southwest, but the coverage is just lower. Now, it's important to note this. There's still a lot of moisture in the air, so it's not impossible to still see some isolated flash flooding, particularly for those of you in the mountains, just because there's a lot of moisture to work with. So even though the number of showers and storms will be lower today, that doesn't necessarily mean that your threat for flooding is lower, particularly in the mountains. Watch out for some isolated street flooding. But as you can see, by 2 o'clock, really from Atlanta northward, that's where we're seeing the scattered shower activity. A coverage in metro Atlanta of about 30% this afternoon and evening. And as we get even closer to the time you're driving home from work, tonight around 7 o'clock, if you're headed out, it's mostly dry. So this afternoon, you will still dodge some scattered showers, just like when you were driving to work this morning. And then around 5 o'clock, as you're driving home from work, it'll be mostly dry. Same story for this evening. So that's the difference today versus yesterday. Still have rain in the forecast, just not as much of a washout this afternoon and evening as what we saw yesterday. That high is 85 degrees. As a reminder, the normal for this time of year is 90, so we are still below average with that high. And high pressure will build in across the southeast over the weekend. This high isn't strong enough to completely shut down the rain, so we will keep a slight chance of an isolated shower or storm in your forecast each afternoon and evening over the upcoming weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But notice that coverage is a lot lower at 30% compared to the 50% coverage that we're seeing right now. I'll also point out, with lower rain chances and also that high pressure building in, highs will be a lot closer to 90 degrees as we head into the weekend. So you'll feel that difference in that temperature on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The rain chances do gradually go back up as we head toward the beginning of next next week, and we'll keep you up to date on that forecast and the First Alert Weather app. We'll also have an update on Atlanta News First at noon. So not a washout today, just some scattered showers out there. The threat for flooding in metro Atlanta specifically is lower. There will still be some rain this afternoon, but again, just not as much as yesterday. And it should be relatively dry if you're headed out this evening. So we'll keep you up to date. We hope you guys have an amazing Thursday. And until next time, we'll see you soon.